Hey, how's it going? It's Joe. I'm in my basement studio today, blissfully ignoring the global pandemic that we're in, trying to get my mind off that for a while. I looked at my YouTube channel and I realized it's been 5 months since I made a video about the ER-301, and that made me sad. So I thought I should do something to change that. So today we're going to build a Shimmer reverb. I'm currently running 0.5.01 of the firmware. In case you don't know, what the zero point 0.5 firmware does is it kind of boosts up the real-time operating system features of the ER-301. So you don't see a lot on the surface change, but what actually has changed is that you can get a lot more out of your CPU than you used to be able to. I think, normally when I'm running the 48K firmware, you would probably top out, I don't know, somewhere around maybe 70% or so before you started to kind of crackle and pop. You can push it a lot further now, probably upward of 90% before you start to run into those crackles and pops. So it's really kind of like almost getting a kind of a free CPU upgrade in your ER-301. So really pretty exciting stuff. So this is the unit that we're going to build today. It's a Shimmer reverb. I'm just going to play a sound here, dry, and then I'll add this Shimmer reverb to it so you can kind of see the difference. So that's the dry sound. It's just coming off of an external non-Euro rack synthesizer, and I've got it routed in through the ER-301. Let's unbypass this and add some of the effect. All right, let's get started. So what I've done here is dropped in a custom effect. I've renamed it, and I've added some controls ahead of time, just so that you don't have to sit here and watch me name everything. So inserted a custom effect container, renamed it, and that's really about it so far. I'll walk through these controls just real quickly. So the wet control, I've set up to go from 0 to 1, and it looks like I've set the fine increment to 0.01. The size also goes from 0 to 1, same increment. The pitch is just a standard volt per octave pitch control. And then the feedback, I set to go from 0 to 0.6, which actually is probably a bit on the high side. I found anything above 0.5 gets really squelchy because this is a feedback patch. So I've got these controls up here. Normally I would probably put these on at the end after I figure out what I want, but again, this is just to kind of not have to sit through me typing in names and things like that. So let's get started building this thing. I'm going to dive into the custom effect. And the first thing I want to do is to put a mixer in here. So this is a stereo effect. I've got a stereo channel. I'm going to grab a stereo mixer. Now you may remember with the custom effect what that does. Oops. It basically passes signal in from the left-hand side. So I've got it hooked up to N1 and N2 here. And so because this is a custom effect as opposed to like a custom source container, that signal is already going to be present here down inside this subchain. So we've already got N1 and N2 going into the stereo mixer. So the purpose of this stereo mix here is then to kind of provide a feedback path for our reverb. So let's go ahead and drop in a reverb here. Just come down and find Reverb. And let me go ahead and wire up some of the controls here from Reverb. So we'll set the size down to 0. We'll set the gain to 1. And then to control it, I'll pick my local and come up here and select size. I'm just going to go ahead and turn the damping down. This is something you could probably, optionally add as a custom control if you wanted to control that up at the top level. But I'm just going to set it here for this example. The width I'll leave at 1, and same thing with the wet control here. I'll zero that out, set the gain up to 1, and then wire that up to the wet control up here on the Shimmer Reverb custom unit, custom effect unit. Cool, I think that's all I need to do with that for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the signal out of Reverb here. We're going to take the affected signal and we're going to route it in through a chain and bring it back up through this stereo mixer. So essentially we're going to take some feedback out of Reverb and route it back through itself. And in addition to that, we're going to take that feedback and we are going to pitch shift it. So let's drop into the stereo mix here. And first thing I always like to do when doing any kind of feedback patch, is just for good measure, is to drop a limiter in here. That should just kind of help control, if things get out of control. The limiter basically just kind of clips your signal at 1. The next thing I want to put in here is a VCA, and I'm going to leave its level at 0. I'm going to set its gain to 1. And I'm going to attach this to the control up here that I called feedback. So that's the one that currently goes from 0 to 0.6. So adjusting that control should bring the gain of this VCA from 0 up through potentially 0.6. And this is essentially how much feedback I'm going to let through. So kind of working backward from right to left here. The other thing I want to drop in here is a pitch shifter. And even though there's nothing labeled as a pitch shifter in here, if we go down here to delay and reverb and pick the grain delay, you can see that it does have a pitch shifter in it. So I'm going to leave the left and right delay both set at 0 seconds, so we won't add any delay as a result of this unit. I'm going to set this to fully wet so that this basically just, completely pitch shifts the signal that's coming through it. And I'm going to take this volt per octave control and I'm going to hook that up to the top level control that I put on the custom effect. So back up to the top here and we'll connect that up to pitch. Because this is a volt per octave control, pitch control, I don't have to set any gain here. That's kind of done automatically. Okay, so we've got this subchain here that does a pitch shift, and then it kind of attenuates the signal here, and goes through a final limiter, and so that's what happens here. But right now it's not getting any signal into it. What we actually want to do is take the signal out of Reverb here and route that into this chain. So let's come back across here, and at the front of this chain, we'll go in here and select locals, and I'll roll on over to Reverb. I've got the left channel selected, so I'll go ahead and leave that there and press enter there. And we're going to grab this right channel too. So I'll come back over to Reverb, and here I'm going to hit this channel button here so that I'm selecting the right channel of the output of Reverb. Cool. So we've got that set up. Let's see, we've got Reverb, the output of Reverb routed through the pitch shifter. We're attenuating it, and we've got a final limiter, and that's what's coming back up through the stereo mix here and then getting fed into Reverb. So we've got the input signals coming in here. It's getting mixed with the feedback, pitch shifted feedback from Reverb, and then routed into Reverb once again. So let's give it a shot here. So for a Shimmer reverb, you generally want the signal to be the size. The signal to be pretty strong. It's kind of all about the effect. Let's maybe start it at 0.44. You want the size to really be huge usually. It's just that kind of effect. So I'm going to crank this up to maybe 0.95. The pitch shifting, I'm going to set that at 1 octave, 1200 cents. And the feedback, this is where we want to be kind of a little bit careful. So maybe for starter, I'll just dial it in here at 0.18. I'm going to play this sound again. Sounded pretty good. I found that, with this kind of effect, one thing I might want to do is just, I could probably either do it here or maybe even in the feedback chain. I haven't tried it there. Let's try it. So if I come in here into my feedback chain, let me drop an EQ into here as well. And we'll see how it works here. There we go, EQ3. I'm going to leave the high. I'll just leave that set at 5,000, and I'm just going to roll off quite a bit of high here, and that way maybe we can prevent, some of that kind of squealy effect here. Let's give that a shot. Yeah, that actually sounds pretty good. So I think that's really about it. You could possibly, expose this control up on the surface as well if you wanted. But there you go. We've got a kind of a shimmer reverb effect. I've been having a lot of fun with this, so hope you enjoyed, and hope that gives you some ideas. Until next time, take care, stay safe.